the shadows call. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. Geeks paranormal makes the haunted show.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living, living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. You're trying storm in a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams.
Infrared lights scanning the room. Spectacles appear in the EGM gloom. Podcaster insight streamers, keen eye tracking the spirits as they float and fly. Spooky whispers ride the circular line. Wristband like a portal through space and time. Every note builds tension in the haunted air. Geeks paranormal, the ghosts beware. Crowds at home watching the pulse unfold. Stories of the night in the visuals told. Dance with the phantoms, EDM embrace. Ghosts and humans share the same space.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living, living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. Trying storm in a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams. Whispers grow, machines hum,
Ghosts rise,
lights flicker.
heartbeat slows, darkness pulses.
Are you ready? Streams cut to black.
Silence holds
Only the static
in Geeks paranormal.
in the shadows,
Investigating,
streaming,
podcasting.
forever chasing the unseen.
Whispers in the static, flickering lights. The night is descending. G.E.E.K.S paranormal. Something waits. Late night signals, the senses hum. Geeks paranormal, hear the spirits come. Stream and live to the curious eyes. Cameras flicker while the phantom flies. Every creak in the floor, every cold breeze is a secret the shadows whisper with ease. Protest a voice calm, but the pulse is high. Your driving pulses meet the other wordless sky. Baseline driving like footsteps in the hall. Guitar riffs wail as the shadows call. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. Geeks paranormal makes the haunted show.
Voices in the dark, can you hear them scream? Streaming to the living in the dream. Ghost in the static, moving with the beat. Geeks paranormal, feel the night's heartbeat. Candles flicker, screens light the haze. Your trike storming a spectral maze. From haunted halls to the digital streams, we chase the shadows, we chase the dreams.
Infrared lights scanning the room. Specters appear in the E.P.P gloom. Part tester insight streamers, keen eye tracking the spirits as they float and fly. Spooky whispers ride the certain line. Respect like a portal through space and
action. You're supposed to say the words.
Oh, is it? I gotta say that.
Yes.
Public service announcement. The views and opinions are the
Fuck that bullshit. They are my opinions and my guests, no one else's. Remember, this show ain't for chitlins' ears, so listening discretion and viewing discretion is advised. This is a paranormal horror crime show, so the scenes and the sounds could be a little terrifying to those little ears and those little eyeballs. And of course, there's obviously cussing. I mean, it's me. Also, please don't do anything that these stupid ass people do in this video or this podcast. This is for entertainment purposes and for you guys to listen with your ears, consume the knowledge. And now, time for the show.
whispers in the static. Flickering lights. The night is listening. G.E.E.K.S paranormal. Shadows know that something waits. Late night signals, the senses hum. G.E.E.K.S paranormal, hear the spirits come. Stream and live to the curious eyes. Cameras flicker while the phantom fly. Poltergeist energy in the dance floor glow. G.E.E.K.S paranormal makes the haunted show.
Haunted halls to the digital streams. We chase the shadows. We chase the dreams.
What is up, everybody? It is Shauna with Exploring the Paranormal Perspective and founder of Geeks Paranormal. You can just call me Geeks. Most everybody does. I have a fantabulous show today. I have the wonderful Charles F. Rosenay and Timothy. Oh my God, I forgot your last name already. Thomas. Oh my Jesus. See, I've already fucked it up, everybody. It's Thomas Patrick. What is up, guys? Thank you guys so much for coming on the show tonight. We have so much.
Thank you for having us, Shoshana.
Shoshana.
Figured we're all gonna mess up everyone's names. Why
We're
not?
gonna mess up everybody's names. I'm just gonna screw it all up. I'm gonna blame my accent. I'll say it was my accent that did it. That's why we can just.
Can I get a
But we have an awesome show tonight because I want to talk about you guys, the Shaman and the Showman. So let's go ahead and settle this right off the bat. Which one of you is the Shaman and which is the Showman? And more importantly, you wanted the title.
The better looking one with the beard is the Shaman. He's the real deal, the knowledgeable, psychic, empath, all of the above. 40 years of paranormal experience, of true crime experience, and that's my buddy, my partner, and one of my dearest friends, Thomas Patrick. And now you can introduce me as the Showman.
Oh yeah, so the other guy that's not so as good looking as I am is Charles F. Rosenay. Make sure you put the 3 exclamation points at the end, because that's legally the way we need to have it. But Charles is going back. He started out as the Monster Kid, the big Beatle fan and all that, as you can see behind you, all the monster movies and all that. And just all of a sudden had a foray into the paranormal. And then he met me. And then we were doing all these crazy events all over New England and over in England and over in Transylvania and all these different places all over the world, to bring that nice, safe place for everybody to join and talk about weird stuff. So
it's such a perfect para partnership, because he's so knowledgeable and he's so great with equipment and with people. And from my end of it, I've been an entertainer and a producer, my whole life for decades. So, he wants to make sure they get the best results, the best experiences, get the most knowledge. I want to make sure they have a great time. I want to make sure that they walk away from every event we do, whether it's Paracon this coming weekend, whether it's some of our paranormal investigations, whether it's contributions to books or our tours or our Salem Paracon in November, whether it's the Connecticut Witch Festival, all the things we do. See how I got those all in? I want to make sure that he hosts and gives the people the best experience from a professional level. And I'm not saying I'm not the non-professional, but I'm trying to do it from an entertainment, from a let's have fun angle. And the Shaman and the Showman, it's just the perfect match, the perfect teamwork.
Exactly. Now, the Shaman, law enforcement. What got you into shamanism, Thomas?
well, it's not that I got into it. It chose. It actually chose me, and it chose me with an abandon my whole life. I really, growing up, I didn't know why I felt the way I did, seeing the things I did, didn't understand it. Kind of a rebellious teenager, but it was at 14 years old, I met Ed and Lorraine Warren, and Lorraine helped me understand that I had abilities after meeting them at a lecture. And from there, I developed with the knowledge that she gave me and continued on to teach myself my mistakes, my triumphs, everything that you go through, the building blocks, and realized as they were knocking on the door, it's almost like Back to the Future. They keep knocking on your head, McFly, wake up, McFly.
Yeah.
So I went through a lot in life, a lot of trial and error, traumas and things like that, to finally realize that the ancestors have awakened me and said, you're a shaman. You're the bringer of knowledge in this, and you need to take this path. And that's what I chose to do. And law enforcement wise, it's almost like, when you have those feelings and you could pick up on those things, you end up in law enforcement because you're taking in, like I said, my traumas in my life, my shamanism, but also with the training that I received, whether it be with the state of Florida, FBI training for crisis management and profiling, and just the forensic psychology backing to be able to see things from a different eye. So I bring that forensic knowledge into the paranormal along with what I feel. It's almost like I have multiple instruments going all at once, being able to break through those traumas, and then using equipment on top of that and teaching people and validating what I see, and allowing, when Charles and I do events together, bringing people in to that energy field to be able to have their own experience and make their determination, is the paranormal real or not? And we provide that for them on our events, whether they come to the Paracon, whether they come on a ghost hunt or anything of that nature that we do. We give them that knowledge and we answer those questions in a safe place.
You mentioned Ed and Lorraine Warren, and with all the controversy going on in this day and age over them, the biggest issue is, I believe, this is just my opinion, everybody, y'all can knock it if you want to, I just believe that a lot of the controversy is because they're no longer here to protect themselves. They're no longer here to defend themselves. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's some of us that were around that could defend them. But the funny thing is we're the ones that are pushed to the side. There's keyboard warriors out there, and I give them all the credit. They think they do their research, but it comes back to one thing. You weren't there. You weren't there to see what happened. And that's what I always tell people. You could have your experience in what happened, but the thing is, Ed and Lorraine helped people for free. They did it for free. But so many people knock them when they did all these events, wrote these books and all that. They're like, oh, you're taking money. Yeah, they got to run a business. Right. If they don't make money, how are they supposed to help people for free? All right. So if you're going to have an issue with that, then nobody should be vending at any of these events, or nobody should be pushing their books or anything like that. There's purpose to that. You have to be able to support the free that you do to help people. And that's something I learned a long time ago. Everything going on is noise. And I remember Lorraine told me the most important thing is to take care of your client and spirit. Everything after that doesn't matter. And that's kind of what I've taken up to my old age now. You know, I tell people I've been at this. My favorite thing to tell people when they always ask me, how long you been doing this? I said, I've been doing it since the Dead Sea was only sick. So that's the best way to really describe it.
Further to what Thomas said, you know, we'll get calls occasionally, and I can tell by the voice, you know, that they're in trouble. They said, you know, we have something that's disturbing us in the house, or, you know, we're things are happening and I don't know what to do. And once we hear that, that's the free. That's we don't never charge. We would never, you know, whether we do it ourselves or recommend other people who might have to exercise the house, who might have to, you know, do a crossover, whatever it is. We feel that when we do the conventions and when we do, you know, paranormal investigations where people come with us for, you know, for a great experience, we're charging for that. So when someone is in need and someone is calling out and reaching for help, never think of charging for something like that. So there's, you know, everything has its reason for being, and one thing has to, you know, make sense for the other thing.
Of course. Now, you had mentioned something when we were in the backstage about Lorraine and Warren, the situation. Do you want to share a little bit of that with the audience, the peoples?
That's you, Thomas.
Yeah.
Talking about me? Are you talking about, you know?
I'm talking about the situation with like John Zappis and
oh, okay. Yeah, that. So I met John many, many years ago, and really we developed more of our friendship recently, over the last few years. And, you know, John to me is like family, and I care very much about him. And the thing that I know about John is there's two separate things. There's the paranormal and then there's family. So those got to stay separate. So that's the way we'll leave it at that. But John, myself, my better half, Stacia Wills, who's a shaman also, And our friend Mary Jo Chudley, who's the head of Penn Paranormal Twisted Dolls. She's the doll lady that you see on a lot of the TV shows, but she's a great investigator, really good with equipment too. The four of us decided to get together for a weekend at the Haunted Knickerbocker Hotel. And then the next day, John had an event at Haunted Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, which is an old haunted poor farm. And the thing is a lot of people know, of course, John's aunt and uncle are Ed and Lorraine Warren. And again, like I told you, I was mentored by Lorraine at the age of 14. So what happened was we bring these whole groups, and we had Group B on an investigation down in the basement of this facility. And we had a piece of equipment on, which is called an Echo Vox, which John had plugged up to a speaker so everybody could hear. So we start asking questions and things are coming through, but then all of a sudden the energy changed in the room. I could feel it coming. I felt a familiarity. Sometimes when you know like a spirit energy that's familiar to you, you feel it coming and you're like, oh, this is somebody I know. And just as I'm feeling that, through the Echo Vox, Lorraine Warren's voice came through.
Wow.
No way. Really?
What did
John Zaffis looked like a deer in headlights. And my thing is there's potentially sometimes spirits could mimic,
Yeah.
or anything that's not right could mimic. So with my background and John's background, I decided to ask the spirit, how old was I when we first met? Anything that is of dark nature and all that is not good with numbers or dates. So that's why you want to ask that type of question. It immediately came back 14.
Wow.
So
wow. Oh my God.
we knew we were talking to Lorraine, and John confirmed it. I confirmed it. Mary Jo Chudley had a relationship with Lorraine too and confirmed the voice. So as we're trying to talk, I like immediate lost it, and John just like sat back. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. So my better half took over. And years ago, Lorraine, while she was still alive, actually possibly astrally projected and told my better half, Stacia, you're just like I am. And she didn't know who the heck Lorraine Warren was way back then until she saw a TV series with Amityville and showing Lorraine talking. And you know, how everything happened, how we all started meeting. And she asked Lorraine, was that you that came to me in my dream years ago? And her voice said, yes.
Wow.
Wow. And y'all knowing her, know that was her voice.
Yeah, it definitely, you can't mistake Lorraine's voice. And then she asked her, did you bring these two men into my life so we could all be together? And it said, yes.
Wow. Oh my God. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I got people going, whoa.
Yeah, and I proceeded to sob very hard.
Oh, I don't blame you.
This is all captured on video, so everything I'm telling you is captured. And those that know Lorraine's voice, when this clip ends up, we're planning on possibly unveiling it soon. But once this clip goes out, I think people are going to realize that Lorraine was the real deal. Because the thing is, a lot of people say some of the most powerful psychic mediums, when they do pass, are still able to communicate, either go to the past, the future, the present, and be able to still communicate with us. And even though she's passed and gone on, she still has the ability to come back and forth, is the theory. And that kind of proved it. So.
That is absolutely phenomenal. I've got people in the chat going, that is an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
I even got one, the Shaman, the Showman, and Shauna.
Oh yeah, that's great. The three.
I guess because you're in between us or something, so it puts you in a pickle.
Puts me in a pickle. Oh my God, I'm in a tight spot, you guys.
So yeah, I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing that. It was just sharing that story for the first time. So I actually chose your podcast, Shauna, I guess.
Well,
It's
thank
cool.
you. I am honored and humbled that you chose my podcast to bring that out on, because it's just really amazing, because we were talking about them last week in our little thing that we had going on. And while I never met her, I really, really was hoping to get her on the show before she had passed. But a lot of people were like, she's not going to do it. She's not going to do it. Of course, I never could get her. But to have somebody that was so closely associated with her on the show this week is just absolutely phenomenal. So it was like it was meant to be. Thank guys.
It's fun. We got Connecticut Paracon coming up and all that, but just quickly, my partner and I will be speaking all over the country on top of everything that we do with Charles. But one of the panels that will be happening in New Orleans at the New Orleans Paracon will actually be John Zaffis, myself, Father Bob Bailey, and Bill Slevin, and my other half, Stacia, talking about all of our experiences with the Warrens.
I'm going to be at the New Orleans Paracon.
Oh, so you'll see me then. We'll get to meet.
I will, definitely. Yeah. That would be awesome. Sweet. So
it's a 2-day question and answer with us. And that story will probably pop up again. So
awesome.
Will there be one of those panels at Paracon this Saturday in Connecticut?
Definitely. So there will be a panel, not necessarily about the Warrens, but there's going to be quite a few, an author's one, a psychic one. But the one that was cool last year that we're bringing back is the one about demonology. And that one will have some of the premier people that are very associated with exorcisms and demonology in this country. That'll have Father Bob Bailey, of course, Carl Johnson, Dave Giuliano, and actually Jimmy Pettinino. Jimmy was the videographer and photographer for the Warrens for many, many, many years. He's witnessed and has video of over 50 exorcisms done.
Holy amazing.
But just that panel alone is worth the $20 to come in. It's also, we have two Jasons. Two people that played Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th that'll be at Connecticut Paracon. The very first one, the OG Ari Lehman himself, which is great because after the event, you could basically walk or drive a little ways up the street to Volo Lounge and Restaurant and watch him and his band rock out as first Jason at the Volo Lounge and Restaurant after our event. But there'll be a panel at the event where Ari and James Stokes, who has actually been the current Jason Voorhees in the fan favorite Night of the Beast, where he actually battles Bigfoot in it for supremacy of the forest. And that's pretty cool. So James Stokes will be there. Stokes was also on Stranger Things on an episode. So he's been in over 70 pictures. He's won an Independent Horror Movie Best Actor Award for, Through the Trees, Forest Through the Trees. Mm-hmm. And, so they'll have a panel, and Charles will be leading up that panel, asking them horror questions all about being Jason. So that's worth it too. But any of the panels, they're always put together with people that have something to say and something very interesting to say. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. Why we're really excited is we've done Paracons, now this will be the 6th year, and we always try to do something in the evening, whether it's a paranormal investigation or a gallery, whatever. But this is the first time we're actually having a concert because our main guest, Ari Lehman, as Thomas mentioned, fronts his band First Jason. So they're going to be the headliners. We've got a Connecticut band called More in the Light, but the Paracon ends at 6 o'clock. By the time vendors get out, 6:37, and we literally just go down the block to this other venue, and it's a night of rock and roll tied in because we try to do not just paranormal. Last year was the first year we opened it up to a true crimes theme. We also opened it up to a celebrity guest. We've always had amazing paranormal guests, but last year we had Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster from the Munsters. And this year we thought, let's go even more hardcore. And we got the two Jasons, and it's actually the first time they're together. It's the first con ever where we've got the first ever Jason who jumps out as a kid in the last scene of the 1980 Friday the 13th, plus a current Jason. So someone going there can literally get their machete or whatever they want signed, their mask by the two of them, and they can pose for photos with the two of them. So there's gonna be a lot of great opportunities for photo ops. We've also got the Men in Black car that's gonna be there, and it's free. No one has to pay to take pictures with it. They can be inside it, on the outside of it. That's all included.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like an amazing event, and I would so totally go if I wasn't already booked for everything. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I would love to go one year, at least next year, maybe. It's going to be on my, so I'm going to be on my top convention.
You would be a
list.
listed guest. You'd be able to run panels and be, an important part of it.
Well, I would be totally honored. So we'll talk. We will definitely talk. But I do want to talk to you guys about your experiences in the paranormal too. Like, you both have done paranormal investigations together. Like,
yes.
How does the ghost react to the shaman and the showman? How different are they?
Well, it's funny because I started out as the foil. I was the, roll the eyes, skeptic, a non-believer. And the more and more we did it together, the more it's just impossible, when it results in experiences one after another. But I want to share that when we do the events, it's either a one-night investigation or it's multiple nights. And I don't think there's a scenario where we didn't have, an occurrence. I don't think there's ever been, but some have been much more wow factors than the other. And some of those wow factors are the basis of my book, which I know we'll get to, but I don't want to jump the gun here. But one of them I want Thomas to tell you about because it happened on one of our paranormal investigations aboard a trolley.
A trolley?
Yeah, the story's in the book, but if you don't mind, Thomas, you got to tell it because it's.
Yeah, I'll tell that one quick because I don't want to give away too much of the detail. But let's look at it this way: East Haven, Connecticut, has a trolley museum that's been around from the early days, and they have the trolley museum. But in the back, there is a garage full of antique trolleys from different countries, to the point that one of the trolleys is not a trolley. It is actually one of the subway cars that survived 9/11 under the building.
No way.
Yeah, very historic, yeah.
Now, the trolley in particular was a trolley, considering I talked about going to New Orleans, but this trolley that we were on was from New Orleans. So this was a 2-night event where we had different groups basically all doing a ghost adventure with us. The first night I was getting through, a voice coming through and picking up that his name was Billy and he wanted to go to college, and he was on this trolley, and I couldn't figure out, he wanted to go to college. Why didn't he go to college? I couldn't figure it out. So I went home that night, and just the energy of it just would not let me sleep. And I just kept thinking about it. And I was hoping if I go back the next day, maybe Billy, I could get into contact with him again. But it's hard sometimes because some of the energy changes. You have a different group, that energy shifts, and you may not get the same people coming through. So we go back, we get on the New Orleans trolley, we let everybody use the equipment. So one of the people was using equipment called a millimeter, which picks up like energy on milligauss, where a normal thing would be like 0.1, 0.2 or something like that, which is normal. All right, we're talking 0.1, 0.2. Now we had one of the girls holding it, and the guy that, our friend John that runs the trolley, was at the front giving a talk. All of a sudden the energy shifted, and the girl said to me, "Why is this saying 98 point whatever?" Which is never seen that way. This is like maxing that thing out to the point where the numbers may not even read properly.
Right.
And you could feel the energy shifting, and people are starting to rustle, and our guide was trying to hold himself up. He told me later the energy was so overwhelming that he felt like it was pulling him to the ground. So I had everybody sit down. I had my my spirit box on, But I also, all of a sudden, I went into a trance where I could see through my third eye, I could see it playing like a video. And it was a man in World War II. And I knew it was Billy. And Billy, I think, went off to World War II, passed away, and never got to go to college. So everybody's sitting down, and then it just hit me. I said, Billy, you going off to war and dying for our country is your college. As soon as I said that, you could feel a rush, air go up. And the girl that was saying it was 98 said she says it's 0 now. And all the energy just left the trolley, and it was calm. And people that witnessed this didn't say anything for at least 10 minutes. They couldn't figure out what the hell just happened.
My gosh, wow. I got chill bumps on that one. Oh my geez. And what book is this in?
It's in, oh, so glad you're asking. It's in the new book called True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and New England, which is actually launching this Saturday, July 11th at Paracon in Connecticut. And what's amazing is, of course, it's got Thomas's chapter in there. He mentions his better half, Stacia, the far better half, by the way. Is also got chapters in here, but there's literally 40 chapters of true stories involving Connecticut and New England. And what we're doing is we're going to debut it at the convention. What's amazing is probably half the contributors to the book who wrote their stories, they're like, oh, wow, amazing scenario stories, are going to be at the convention. So if you're a fan and you pick up the book, you can get literally half of the book autographed by contributors to the book, which is never happens. It's really unheard of. It's really special.
Oh,
and if
you
can't make it to Connecticut, unfortunately, for whatever reason, Amazon will have it. You just look under my last name, Rosenay, and all my books are on there, all 5 books. But this is the brand new one. It's amazing. It's revelationary, and people who love ghost stories, you don't have to be from Connecticut or New England. A great ghost story is a great ghost story, and there's about 40 of them in this book.
I'm gonna have to get that book, guys. I'm gonna have to get it. I'm not gonna be able to get it this weekend, but I'll get it.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you got chills from the Billy story, there's a few more in there that.
Oh yeah.
That'll give you even more chills and all that, especially.
Well, any military is really close to my heart because I'm ex-military, and it's just hearing stories like that is just like, man, he was a child when he was in World War II. Most of them were.
Yeah,
exactly. And you could tell and you could feel, and it's hard for me to describe. Everybody picks up message differently, and it's hard for me to describe to somebody else how it feels. But I think, again, in that situation when Billy realized that, hey, I did complete my mission, so and got to transition, was great.
Oh gosh, that is an awesome story, Thomas. Thank you so much for telling it to us.
Well, you got to read it again in Charles' book.
I am going to read it. Now, you guys, y'all both manage you both manage the Paracon. What about the Salem Paranormal Horror Convention and the CT Witch Festival?
Yes, all 3 of those events, plus a handful of psychic fairs through the year. But the banner events, the headliner events, is Connecticut Paracon, because it's our 6th year in a row, and we were the first ones to ever do one in Connecticut. The Salem Paracon has just taken all the stuff that goes on in Salem, but taken it to another level, because there was never really a world-class paranormal convention in Salem that also included all the elements of horror. And about 3 years ago in Connecticut, there was an exoneration committee that succeeded in getting the witches who were accused of all the terrible, unjust things that they were accused of, finally exonerated. And we decided, well, it's time we did a convention to honor the memory and give respect to the witches who were so unjustly persecuted in the time. Don't forget, Connecticut was the witches were tortured and hung and accused even before Salem.
Yeah.
It's those are three major events. The Connecticut Witch Festival is coming up August 8th and 9th. And we're very proud of one new thing because we've been doing it for a few years now. Great guests, great vendors, free admission in Hartford, Connecticut. But this year, I'll share one thing and I'll let Thomas share the other thing. The one thing is that we've moved it to the old State House in Hartford, where some of the hangings actually took place, and we're having the event in the courtyard and indoors at the old State House in Hartford, Connecticut. But for the first time ever, Thomas, what else why is this year's Connecticut Witch Festival on August 8th and 9th in Hartford different than any others?
It's different than any other thing because the last few years when we started this, there was a lot of controversy from some of the people in the exoneration program, and they didn't realize were we doing this just as a thing, a joke, or they felt like we were dead serious about getting people remembered, hopefully raising money for memorial so this never goes again, because people don't realize, yes, this happened 45 years before Salem. No, we're not looking to make this into a tourist thing. We want statues in remembrance of what happened, good or bad. The thing is even nowadays, you would look on the internet, people are still bullied and accused of stuff, even now as we are here in 2026, like it was in the 1600s. But back then they would hang people for being different or just, trying to pick roots to help cure their family with a tea because they were sick and they were poor. So when disease would happen, they would point at the weird person and blame it on them. And then they'd get accused of witchcraft and hung in the gallows that were in Hartford, of course, at the time in Connecticut, right on the same grounds as the old State House. But this year, after a lot of talking and a lot of understanding and some people coming out, I think, undercover to see what we were doing, the Exoneration Project people are actually going to take part. They're going to have their own booth there with all information about how they came about. And there's going to be a memorial saying of all the names of everybody that passed away on Sunday, which will be the 9th. And we'll ring a bell every time we say a name. And it's going to be beautiful. And they'll have their tent there to raise money and understanding to raise money for hopefully finally to get a memorial at one of the cemeteries that's nearby, which would be great.
That will be great. Now, what is the weirdest, unexplainable item someone has ever tried to sell you guys at a show or at one of your conventions?
I can tell you the weirdest item that was ever brought to a convention. I don't know about anybody trying to sell us anything.
Oh,
what
God.
was that?
Well, the weirdest item I think ever brought to one of our conventions is one of our favorite people that come every year to bring their weird items from their museum. And
Radicals.
They're always our last people to speak of the day because so many people have questions. So we want to give them a majority of the time at the end. So they're our grand finale. The weirdest thing they ever brought, an actual fork confiscated from the home of Jeffrey Dahmer when he was arrested.
What?
Oh, ew. Oh.
And they usually bring it with them. And and the story behind it and all that is great. Me being a profiler and all that, I appreciate
right?
to the point where I used that fork in a beginning and end to a foreword that I wrote for their book about paranormal and true crime crossing over, like Amityville, where a murder happens and then paranormal happens, like Lizzie Borden, what happened there, now it's haunted, and how they all correspond with each other with that trauma. So that's it's called Echoes of Violence, and they'll be selling that book there along with one of their new ones too. But again, there's going to be a few people with new books at Connecticut Paracon. So basically why you want to come out and make sure you bring a few bucks to make sure you buy all the brand new books coming out, especially Charles, because I think Charles, I'm part of like 4 stories in Charles.
You are, and the couple you just mentioned who have the Jeffrey Dahmer utensil also have a chapter in my book. And to give them a shout out by name, they're known as the Radicals, but it's Danny and Lauren Perez from Connecticut, and they probably have one of the largest collections of haunted items.
Troublesome objects.
Yeah,
they call it.
troublesome objects.
Is the fork haunted?
Is the fork?
Well, let's just say that
I hate to think what it was used for.
Lauren is one of those psychics that she could hold an object and feel the energy and the story behind it, and she refuses to hold the fork.
Oh,
Every
I had
time
somebody
they
in the
bring
chat.
fork out- Yeah, every time she brings the fork out, she's nearly passed out because of how overwhelming it is. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had somebody say in the chat that's forking scary.
it is.
That fun.
It's not it's not a very knife thing to happen. So I'm taking all the Charles's.
That's fork in bed. Yeah.
So if you two had to pick one famous historical ghost to help you manage the ticket booth at the Paracon, who are you hiring?
Ed Warren.
Why not?
He got it. He was able to manage, the careers and the trajectory of the Warrens, of his wife and himself. Everyone who's a serious psychic would want to hang out with Lorraine. I would want to hang out with him. I'd want to pick his brain a little too.
Yeah,
and
they're there in spirit. They're there in spirit. Again, what happened with John and I've actually had Lorraine come through again when I was at a convention with Father Bob Bailey down in West Virginia. The same thing happened. We were actually talking, and another psychic said Lorraine's spirit was standing behind us. And then we went back to the hotel, and her voice came through, talking to us. And it's unmistakable. So.
Oh my gosh! I bet. Did it bring you to tears again? Because that would have just.
I think I was more in shock that time because I felt Lorraine around me, and that was the first, and just recently was the second time. But I think because John was there, and I think it's more overwhelming because that's John's aunt. Right. So it's different when it's family coming through during something and how it overruns. When it comes to family, it's much different. We do this paranormal, we have fun, we teach people and all that, but family's everything. And for them to come through and have that moment, it means more than anything in the paranormal could do.
So, Sean, we've really gotten close with John Zaffis. And I'll tell you, my first experience was when I never heard of him. And I had invited Ed and Lorraine to host a ghost tour. I do the Dracula tours to Transylvania every year. And occasionally we do a ghost tour. Like this month, I'm taking a group to London and all the whereabouts, Whitby and York and all the spookiest places in England. But the first time we decided to ever do one of these ghost tours, we called on Ed and Lorraine to see if they'd want to host it. And they'd gotten on in age, and it was a time where they thought, maybe going overseas isn't the right thing at their state, at their age and all that. But they said, we highly recommend our nephew. And we said, who? Our nephew, John Zaffis. And we made the call, and it was like, no one knows who this guy is. He, a relative. There's just nepotism going on here, not realizing that years later we'd be so entrenched and together as paranormal compadres. But that was my first, and I don't know, Thomas, if you knew that, but that was the first time we were ever turned on to possibly using John Zaffis in one of our events, because he was recommended by his aunt and uncle.
It's amazing because I've actually had John Zaffis on my Facebook page for quite a few years and was actually talking to him in Messenger back and forth about a couple of things. So it is kind of not what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of amazing that he is coming up a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Next time you speak to him on Facebook or wherever, tell him that you think he's got one of the best groomed beards you've ever seen. Because that's usually that's one of the first things I tell him when I see him. He's just got
a nice little
to perfection.
Yeah. Yes.
If you really want to get on his good side, just keep giving him coffee. Just, black coffee with some cream and you'll be okay. So just keep him going.
That's all I drink is coffee and cream. That's it. So we're good. We're on a good track there. So I do want to ask you guys some more about the Paracon because it is coming up this weekend. What are the times for the Paracon?
For VIP, it's 11 o'clock. There's a lot of people, who are convention veterans and know if you get in early, you're the first one to get all the autographs, first one to get books before they sell out. First crack at the vendors who might have, one, I don't know what, a haunted goblet that you might want and no one else might have. So getting in early means a lot. And it also means a lot to people who love the panels and want to get, upfront seating. So there's an 11 o'clock VIP admission, and then there's noon general admission this Saturday, July 11th, and it goes till 6 p.m. It's at the Clarion Inn Hotel in North Haven, Connecticut. For the first 3 years of the show, we were at one location, an old armory. We've since every year tried to find new places so people from communities who may not have gone to past ones can come to the new one. The logic behind staying in the same place is continuity. The logic behind doing different places every year is if people have a great time, they will follow you to a new place, but you might also get new people from that area. So that's, again, this Saturday, July 11th. The website is Paracon with 2 N's because it's con as in Connecticut, PARACONN.org, not .com. And then when that ends, 6 o'clock, people can just mosey on over, literally up the block, to this Volo, VOLO restaurant where they can have dinner, have drinks, and then at 9 o'clock, a full concert with Mourn the Light, and then First Jason, and it's gonna be quite a memorable, epic, historic rock and roll paranormal horror experience.
It sounds like it. Oh my gosh, I got people going. Let's go road trip. Go then.
Definitely get on the Magic Bus and get here. Magic Bus is pay your fare and you're ready to go.
Now, what's the hotel they can get? Clarion?
Clarion is what you take for allergies. Oh, yes. Clarion is CLARION. It's on our website.
That's what he said. And the links are going to be in the description, guys. I can't do words today. Words are hard.
Clarion, CLARON, which I think is part of the title of one of the best horror novels I've ever read by a guy named Dan Simmons, Clarion Comfort, something like that. So I'm glad it's out of Clarion. It's got a personal horror meaning for me.
Well, I do have a couple of rapid fire questions for you guys. Scariest paranormal entity, demon, poltergeist, or angry Colonel Ghost?
So what is it? What do we prefer?
Yeah, well, no, what's the scariest? Demon, poltergeist, or an angry Colonel Ghost?
Neither.
Neither?
None of them are scary when you understand.
It's a great answer.
Great answer. I love it. That's a good one. Coming from the shaman.
Yeah, I guess I'm not normal, so I guess I may not want to take that answer to the bank.
Now, have you guys ever been scared at any particular location?
I not so much scared. When I first started, I was scared to go into the locations, and we'd have a dinner. We'd have an orientation, then we'd go over to the location, and I'd say goodbye to everyone, and I would head on to a DJ gig, or I would head home, or I'd see a movie. I'd do anything except go inside. And the more I felt comfortable with Thomas as my partner, the more I knew that everyone was in, and I know this isn't a rapid fire, it's a longer answer.
You're fine.
The longer that we all feel safe and we have the right intent, I've never been worried or scared to go into a location. And there was as opposed to your question being, is there anyone I'm currently, scared to go in? I was scared to go into all of them when we first started, and now there's nothing that I feel that that we can't either tackle if necessary, or confront, or be a part of in a good way.
Well, now you guys have been in a lot of locations. Is there a particular location that you haven't been to that you so desperately want to go to?
There is for me. It's we had amazing results at a place called the Ansonia Opera House. And in those days, opera houses, if you were a big star, if you were Al Jolson or Houdini, jump on a train, go from town to town to town, and stop wherever there was a grand hotel and an opera house. And you would do your performance, your concert, your show, whatever. And then you jump on the train next day, go to another place. And that's how, the old timers toured. And I'm a big fan of theaters, and just as big a fan of opera houses. And we've done this Ansonia Opera House, but one town over is the Derby Opera House, which in its day had tons of paranormal investigations and visits and events. And it's since been, no more paranormal. And we're real close. It's the Sterling Opera House. So that's on my checklist of places I got to get us into. And I think we're about to break through.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. Oh my gosh. There's still so many I want to go to. So many.
Mine's a little more impossible.
Oh, no.
But maybe mine's impossible. I would love, because I'm a huge historian in the history of our country. I would love to investigate the White House.
Oh,
yes.
That would be the ultimate. That's my ultimate place. I know it'll probably never happen. Maybe if Donald Trump is watching, he'll let us come in or something. But he's more of the different type. He's more of the different type of president that might allow us.
Yes.
Little less politically correct, I guess.
It might be
have to
the
go through J.D.
building,
Vance first.
might be a building with the most skeletons.
Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely. So, well, they always talk about Abraham Lincoln's ghost, and
maybe he'll sell tickets for us. Maybe Abraham Lincoln will sell tickets for us at Connecticut Paracon also with Ed Warren.
That would be cool. That would be amazing. So what is one piece of advice you would give someone who wants to get into the paranormal investigating?
Oh, I'm gonna steal Tom's. I'm gonna take it away from him. Going with the right intent. I learned that from him because, we go on some paranormal investigations, and the people would be like, "Come out of here!" They would scream at what they thought were the entities there and antagonize. And it was such the wrong. I felt so uncomfortable. I mean, you don't talk to people who are alive that way. Why are you talking? So much of our investigations lead off with Thomas not preaching, but instilling intent. And it's been such an influence on me and such a great positivity that I think it's certainly channeled into everything we've done since. So that would be my answer on his behalf.
That's a very good answer. Yeah, don't go in. They were people once, y'all. They don't go in just to antagonize. Go in to ask questions and find out why they're still there if you want, or even play a game with them. I've played card games with them. I like playing 21 with them. It's fun.
Well, you're exactly right. What Charles said, I do say that all the time because it's nice and simple. Always keep it simple. But the thing is a lot of people go in so serious sometimes too. If you were going to a party, would you want people to be all serious? Go in and have a party with the spirits. Why not? Have fun with them. Talk about, make jokes, play music, whatever. That's when you get a lot of results. So believe you me, if you're on an investigation, it's a little smaller. Sometimes it's harder with a bigger group. But when people aren't asking direct questions and they're just talking amongst themselves and you let the equipment go, you're going to be surprised what comes through.
Having said that, we did an investigation of a Masonic hall where two of our gals just went on their own into a separate area behind like the chapel, behind where, the great Masonic lodge leader would be. And this was a hall that in the old days was male only. That if there were spirits inhabiting this old lodge, that they weren't all that welcoming to having, female presence there. And sure enough, the two of them did what I think. What did they use to?
We're just asking questions to the spirit world with a blessed pendulum.
The pendulum, right? Using the pendulum, and they were scratched. They were affected there, and this was a place where we not only had that happen, but Thomas also did the Estes method and went under with nothing but silence. And as he's doing this, his breathing has changed. He said, Charles, get 10 minutes, whatever, 15, let it go till we get results. And I'm taking pictures of him. And in one of the pictures, he's morphed. His face changes. His beard disappears. His hair is long. I showed him the picture. He couldn't believe it. And as his breathing was getting more intense, I said, we got to stop this now. Let's get him out of this now. And the story is in this book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and New England. But the gals who were involved in that, one of them wrote the story. And so even though we go with the best intent, you never know. I mean, you never know. There could be something there that's not happy or that's disturbed or that needs to communicate in a way that we're not expecting.
Someone in the chat asked about a human pendulum. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you got to go in and be with people with experience too. There's no such thing as an expert in this field because we can't prove the paranormal. If it did, it'd be just normal and we'd all go around with our lives. But the thing is with experience, when these things come up, like getting scratched and what's going on, you have to have somebody there to talk you through it. Because once fear kicks in, that's when things get out of control. That's a strong emotion, and we have to counteract that emotion. With fear, we put love in it. And in one of our other stories from the Satanic Temple, that takes place where an actual deliverance had to happen during one of our investigations. And you could read about that in Charles' new book.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons we called it True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and New England, which is other parts of the area, because so many of the things that did happen were in Connecticut, but there were so many other great stories in the surrounding areas, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, that I didn't want to just limit it to that. And what Thomas is referring to was last year's Paracon in Salem, our paranormal and horror convention in Salem, Massachusetts, where our after event wasn't a concert with First Jason, but it was a visit to the Satanic Lodge, the Satanic Temple in Salem. And you think, all right, well, it's an art gallery and it's a satanic temple by name only. Well, read the story, because it was much more than that. And it was probably without me knowing what they were doing and how they were involved. I was busy seeing off people and making sure they're not, getting out of control and staying in the rooms and having fun. He was involved in a very serious scenario with 4 people, and it's depicted very well in my book, and I didn't know about it till he wrote about it.
Oh my God. Wow. Have y'all ever heard of the human pendulum?
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that. I've never experienced that, so I don't really have an opinion. I know some people do that. A lot of people try different experiments to try and get activity. I appreciate people that do that, because the more we try and come to a solution, the better. I don't think we ever will. I know a lot of scientists try and prove things, but paranormal is impossible to really measure scientifically. You could use instruments to validate how you're feeling, but scientifically, you have to be able to prove, and you have to be able to reproduce a technique over and over again to get the same results so you can measure them. You can't get a spirit to say, speak. You can't get the spirit to speak at the same time every day with the same barometer, pressure, temperature, anything like that. It's impossible. So it's really hard to measure that. Really, the paranormal is a lifelong chase to experience and all that, and see what happens, and potentially get close enough to understand or have those experiences. Or for somebody like myself and Charles and my partner, and what we do is to turn around when people are in fear in their own homes to take the fear away so they could go to sleep at night and then have an understanding.
I never heard of a human period. I've heard of the human centipede, though.
I don't think I want to do that experiment.
No, I don't want to do that one. That one can stay in the movies. Oh my God, I couldn't even watch
Sick.
the previews to it when people were talking about it. I was like, oh, ew, God, no, Jesus, what the hell? But I mean, I think it would be kind of hard to determine unless you had a thermal camera there to actually monitor whether or not that person was getting pushed by an entity of some sorts. Because who's to say that person is actually telling the truth whenever they're doing it? So,
Right, but you also, and further to what Tom said, you also can't emulate that necessarily over and over. So much of what happens is either a one-time or a variation of. And I mean, there was a situation where Thomas found a reciprocal energy that was happening over and over and over. And this was one of his most profound cases because, had he not had the right equipment with him, and 90% of his equipment is here. He's got the third eye, he's got the sixth sense, but he utilized an XLR camera and was able to see something reenacting over and over that he was able to put an end to a very bad paranormal scenario. It's a long story. I don't know if you're ready to.
That one is not in Charles' book because I love Charles very much, but this will.
I'm saving it for my book.
I'm saving it for my book. Sorry, Charles, but this case I call it's the murder house, and I won't say where it is because if I said where it was, there'd be hundreds of people in front of this door. It was that profound. But there was history that back in the early 1900s, when it was tobacco fields in that area of Connecticut, a man lived there with his 6 children and his wife. And next door, there was homes that were border homes where the boarders would live to work in the fields. He traveled up to New York, came back, found out his wife cheated on him with one of the boarders. So he bludgeoned her to death in front of his 6 children in the so-called kitchen. So years and years and years and years later, probably I got to say about 7 years ago, I think it was, and I did this case with the partner I was working with at the time, who was also a psychic medium. So the history was about this murder. The house had been renovated, but the funny thing was the people that lived there knew the guy that renovated the house. So we knew the kitchen was in a back room where they were having a shadow figure kept showing up and wandering back and forth. They had poltergeist activity with the door of the basement opening and closing all night where they had to push a couch against it so they could get some sleep. So we go into the house, and the reason why it was profound was because I go in and all of a sudden I feel the energy change, and I put up what's called an SLS camera. It's off of the old Xbox 360 Kinect system. So it shows like a little green stick figure, and you could say things like, hey, can you wave at me? And if it waves at you, you might have an audience, in theory. Everything's a theory. Again, we can't prove everything. But when it corresponds to history and I'm feeling energy and then all of a sudden I'm seeing it in front of me, pointed the camera. And on the camera were 2 stick figures, and one stick figure looked like it was bludgeoning the other one, like it was reenacting the murder. So I started talking to it, trying to see, okay, is this residual that keeps happening over and over again? Or is it intelligent? It's hard to tell sometimes. Sometimes it could be showing that over and over again. It's caught in that circle, and somebody needs to put their hand in and stop that circle. So it was a situation of stopping the circle where I started talking, and every time I tried to get it to stop, it was like the one that was bludgeoning was angry, and you heard loud knocks on the wall as loud as a .22 gunshot going over. I have this all on tape, and boom, it would go boom. And I kept going, and the person I was working with, this was actually the first investigation she ever did with me. She was ready to run. I was holding on to her shirt because she was videotaping. I didn't want her, and I'm holding the camera, and I'm holding on to her. I could feel her shaking and all that. And I'm going back and forth with it. And finally, the one figure leaves, and the other one looks like the injured woman is kind of only way I could describe it. Like the figure was, you could see it kind of shaking on the SLS camera. And I said, if you're the woman and you don't want to go through this anymore, I'm going to reach my hand out and you just have to touch it and you could go. You have free will. You don't have to be here anymore. The figure reaches out, touches my hand and disappears, and the whole energy just changed.
Holy hell. Oh my God.
That's only one of about the 20 some odd different things that happened in this house. That was just one story of the 8 spirits that were in this house.
Chat saying amazing. Oh my God. And this
Charles
is going to be the book you're
me.
writing?
Yeah, well, I'm actually working on 2 right now. I'm working on one about how I help people transition. And the other book is my other expertise in profiling. So, but the other one I'll get to, I don't know, maybe Charles pays me enough money. Maybe I'll hand him over the story.
See, I do true crime once a month, and we do it with a psychic medium who does not know what we're doing it on. It's just me and another person, and that psychic medium is using his guides to try to figure out who our cases are about. So
that's pretty.
It is very interesting. Very interesting. So go ahead and tell us what is next for the Shaman and the Showman.
Tonight we're going to take a nap because we haven't slept in about a week. We're promoting like crazy. But yeah, this Saturday, July 11th, www.paracon, I think it's in the notes below, PARACONN.org. Please come. And after the convention, join us for the concert at night with first Jason, Ari Lehman, and opening act More in the Light. Just a few weeks later, August 8th and 9th, it's the Connecticut Witch Festival and Cultural Festival in Hartford, Connecticut. The website for that is www.ctwitchfest.com, not .org. The Paracon is .org. Salem is coming up November. Visit all our social media, one day only, Saturday, November 14th at Salem State University. Website for that is www.salemparacon.org. And the book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut, I don't know if we mentioned this yet, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and New England, available on Amazon and at the convention where we're launching this Saturday. And please buy a copy. Come on, if you're not coming to the convention, no matter where you live, you'll love the book. And if you do it through the website, we'll send you a signed copy. If not, save on postage and do it through Amazon.
Now, where can our listeners follow your adventures and maybe sign up for one of your conventions?
Best way is to just my last name, Rosenay. Google it, find me on Facebook and Instagram and anywhere. That's probably the best place because we don't have like a Shaman and the Showman website where we have all our events. All our events kind of have their own website. So eventually, we probably do the logical thing and have a one concentrated place to find everything. But for now, yeah, just find us, and then you'll find all the great events that's connected with them. If anyone wants to go with us this October, believe it or not, to Transylvania, I'm looking for the flyer as we're talking, to do a DRAC tour to Romania. We do that literally every year, every season, and I don't have my flyer to put in front of my face. I can't believe it. I always do. DRACtours.com, www.dractours.com. And that's like the pinnacle, the ultimate, if you're a horror fan, or if you're a Dracula fan, or a vampire fan, or if you just like to travel, it's the ultimate, dractours.com. Is that enough plugs for tonight?
I don't know. Thomas, you got any more plugs?
Well, all the stuff that Charles said, but another important thing. No, October 10th in Meriden, Connecticut, my partners, we're raising awareness for animal care and all that, just to look out for all the animals. So if you come to the event October 10th in Meriden, Connecticut at Gallery 53, it's the 7th annual Bound Together. So it's authors and it's raising, having people come to donate food to get into the event. But it's in honor of my other half. Her son passed away 8 years ago, and he was a regular Dr. Doolittle, and he loved reading. So we're doing this event October 10th. So all you got to do is give some pet food. You could come in, see all the authors. The authors will talk about all their books. Charles will be there pushing more of some of the books, and a lot of pretty popular authors will be there. But later on in the evening, first up will be my partner and also Kenneth Drake, the Hollywood medium. They'll be doing a psychic gallery at Gallery 53. So do some readings for you. And then later on that evening, I've done a couple investigations at this building's over 200 years old. It's very haunted. I'll be doing a ghost hunt with everybody, along with myself and Mary Jo Chudley and anybody that wants to be there. Again, raising money because it's a nonprofit for Gallery 53, but on top of that, just awareness for the animals, and all the donations will go to the local Meriden Humane Society. So join us for that. That'll be www.gallery53.org. You can get your tickets on there. And Charles will be there. You know, Charles does his drag tours. I usually don't go with him, and this is something that I'm doing, but this is something that we all do together and we share in everything. And just the persona, our Shaman and the Showman, likes to be part of everything and have that influence. But it's very important, October 10th, for the remembrance of my better half son and everything he did for animals, and we want to recognize that.
And don't forget, it's not just the Shaman and the Showman anymore. It's the Shauna, the Shaman, and the Showman. All
Yes.
three. All three.
All the shush. Guys, I want to thank you so much for making this an amazing show. I could probably go on for another hour, but y'all need some rest. So don't go anywhere. Thank you guys so much for coming on. You guys that are watching, thank you for participating in the chat. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the biddies. Y'all are amazing, fantabulous people. Until next time, stay free, stay safe, always do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I will see you guys later. Bye, y'all.
Switch it on and come along. Haunted houses all night long. Gaming streams and ghostly scenes. Just chatting with the in-betweens. IRL, she's on the case. Finding spirits in each place. Every game she plays with flair. Geeks, paranormal, she's there. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks, paranormal's bright. Just chatting through sunrise. Trying to stream, it's quite a sight. From the haunted house she flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks paranormal's bright. Just chatting through sunrise. Trying to stream, it's quite a sight. She flies, gaining worlds under the skies. Chat and laugh, let's have a blast. Geeks paranormal here at last. Ghosts and games all night. Geeks paranormal's bright. Just chatting through sunrise. Trying to stream, it's quite a sight. In the dark, she finds the light. Streams so fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight. G.E.E.K.S paranormal shines so bright. In the dark, she finds the light. Streams so fun, she's out of sight. Every ghost and gaming fight. G.E.E.K.S paranormal shines so bright. Ghosts and games all night. G.E.E.K.S paranormal's bright. Just chatting through sunrise. Trying to stream, it's quite a sight. It's quite a sight.